You are 3 items from finishing. You scan the last one, and the machine stops. A red light. A voice loud enough for the whole front of the store to hear. Unexpected item in the bagging area. Every head turns. Your face gets hot, your hands go to your pockets, and a young staff member starts walking toward you wearing a look you have seen before. The look of someone who has already decided something about you. Here is what almost nobody understands about that moment. The beep is not the problem. The machine is not the problem. The problem is the 90 seconds that come after it. Because this does not happen to thieves. It happens to people who paid for every item in that bag. People who have never taken anything in their lives. People who are 70 years old, who have never once spoken to a police officer, and who are about to talk themselves into a police report anyway. A machine made a guess. And in the next 90 seconds, that store is going to try to turn its guess into a case against you, using the one thing they do not have yet: your words. Most people believe the danger is the machine. The machine is the least dangerous thing in that building. In the next few minutes, you are going to walk away with 3 things you do not have right now. A sentence that stops a machine's guess from becoming your confession. A line that protects the strongest legal claim you own, the one that decent, ordinary people give away for free every day without ever knowing they had it. And one short question that forces a store to say out loud whether you are being held or free to walk. The whole thing is 20 words, short enough to say while your hands are shaking. One woman in Alabama walked out of a courtroom with $2.1 million, and the reason she won comes down to something she did not say. And loss prevention teams are trained to confirm 6 specific things before they stop anybody. A beep is not one of them. 20 words, 1 courtroom, 6 rules. The 6 rules come first because the moment you see them, you will understand how little that store is actually holding. Start with what the machine did. Self-checkout runs on weight sensors and cameras. It compares what you scanned against what it believes landed in the bag. When those 2 numbers disagree, it flags you. In plain language, it noticed a difference. It did not witness a theft. It cannot tell a stolen item from a bag of apples that settled wrong. Now the standard the store has to meet. Merchants operate under something called shopkeeper's privilege. In plain English, that is a narrow power to hold a shopper briefly while they check something, and nothing more than that. It is written into state law across the country. Ohio Revised Code Section 2935.041. California Penal Code Section 490.5. Florida Statute Section 812.015. Every version demands the same 3 things: probable cause, a reasonable manner, and a reasonable length of time. Translated into normal speech, they need real grounds to believe you took something. They cannot be rough with you, and they cannot hold you as long as they feel like it. Attorneys who defend these cases say the same sentence over and over: a hunch is not probable cause. Here is the part the store would rather you never learned. Loss prevention investigators are trained to confirm 6 things before they stop a single person. See you approach the merchandise. See you select it. See you conceal it or carry it. Keep unbroken watch the entire time. See you fail to pay. Only then make the stop. Go back over that list and count how many of those 6 a machine beep gives them. 0. Not one of them. So that employee is walking toward you holding nothing. And that is exactly what makes the next 60 seconds dangerous. Because a store holding nothing needs something. The only place left to get it is your mouth. There are 2 ways people hand it over. The first is the apology reflex, and it is the mistake honest people make. Because being honest is who they are. Bad way. Oh gosh, I am so sorry. I must have missed it. Here, let me just pay for it again. Feel what that sentence becomes once it is written down. The customer admitted the item was not scanned and offered payment after being confronted. You arrived with a machine error. You are leaving with an admission, and you wrote it yourself. The softer version does the same damage. I think I scanned it. That word think hands them your doubt. Good way. I have paid for everything. 4 words, a statement of fact, not an explanation, not a story, not an apology for something you did not do. The second way is the expensive one, and it feels like the safest thing in the world. Bad way. Go ahead and look. I have nothing to hide. Understand what just happened. The moment you agree to that search, the question of whether they ever had grounds to stop you stops mattering. Nobody has to answer it. You answered it for them. Remember that woman in Alabama? Leslie Nurse of Semmes was awarded $2.1 million in 2021 after a false accusation following a self-checkout transaction. Her case existed at all because the store's grounds could still be questioned. Consent is what closes that door forever. Good way. I do not consent to a search. Knowing what not to say keeps you from arming them. It does not get you out of the store. For that, you need the 20 words, and the order matters more than the words do. I have paid for everything. I am not answering any questions. I do not consent to a search. Am I free to go? Say it with me, because repetition is how words become available to you when your heart is pounding. I have paid for everything. I am not answering any questions. I do not consent to a search. Am I free to go? Now take it apart so you are not memorizing sounds. You are understanding machinery. I have paid for everything. This closes the topic without opening a conversation. It does not deny, explain, or apologize. Compare it to what it replaces. I must have forgotten creates a timeline. I think I scanned it creates doubt. This creates neither. It is a fact, and facts do not invite follow-up questions. I am not answering any questions. Something matters here that nobody will tell you at a self-checkout. Store employees are not police. Nobody reads you your rights. Nobody warns you that what you say goes into an incident report that police may read later that evening. Saying this out loud is stronger than simply going quiet, because silence gets written up as evasive. A clear, calm decline cannot be, and declining to answer is not evidence of anything. I do not consent to a search. This is the sentence that preserves everything. Your permission is the one thing in that entire building they cannot take from you. They can only receive it. Am I free to go? This one starts a clock and puts it on the record. Shopkeeper's privilege allows only a reasonable length of time, but that limit means nothing unless somebody asks when the clock started. This question forces a fork. Either you leave or that store is now knowingly holding you on camera with a machine beep as its entire justification. 20 words, 4 sentences. Not one of them is an argument. One honest boundary, because nobody should oversell this to you. These 20 words protect you from an accusation built on a machine's guess. They are not a magic shield. If you genuinely walked out with something unscanned, that is a different situation with different rules. And a store can still decide it no longer wants your business, which is their right. Nothing here makes anyone bulletproof, and anybody who tells you otherwise is selling something. You would think the words end it. They do not. They end the polite part, and what follows is where most people fold after saying exactly the right thing. If you have got nothing to hide, why will you not let me look in the bag? Your answer: I understand. I do not consent to a search. Am I free to go? Same words, same tone, a third time if you need it. Do not defend the refusal, because the second you explain why you are declining, you are answering. Rights do not require justification. Calm repetition is what runs their script out of pages. You are not going anywhere until I see your receipt. Your answer: am I being detained? Receipt checks at the door are store policy, not law. New York's General Business Law, Section 218, is one example on the books confirming shoppers are not required to stop at exits to be checked. Attorneys flag 2 exceptions: genuine reasonable suspicion or a paid membership club where you signed an agreement. And one rule with no exceptions: never resist, never pull away, never grab anything. Comply with your body, object with your voice. Fine, we are calling the police. Your answer: good, I will wait. I am still not answering questions, and I still do not consent to a search. That is the best outcome available to you, not the worst. It moves this out of an employee's guesswork and into an actual legal standard with everything on the record. In 2003, an Oklahoma court heard the case of a shopper detained over a sweater he had already bought. He offered his receipt. They held him anyway and called police. The lesson is not that explaining works. The lesson is that explaining did not save him, and the detention itself became the legal problem. Everything so far is about one bad afternoon. What decides whether that afternoon follows you for years is the 90 seconds you have already rehearsed. So walk it through with me one last time. The machine stops. The red light comes on. A staff member crosses the floor and asks you to step aside. You do not apologize. You do not explain. You look at them and you say, I have paid for everything. I am not answering any questions. I do not consent to a search. Am I free to go? They push. You repeat it. They mention the police. You wait calmly and repeat it again. Your body cooperates with everything. Your voice gives away nothing. Most of you watching have never taken anything in your life. That is exactly why this matters. The machine does not know that about you, and the beep sounds identical either way. You cannot control what a machine decides about you. You control the only thing that turns its guess into a case with your name on it. 20 words is all the discipline it takes. If this gave you something you can actually use, hit subscribe, because the next person in your family who hears that beep should have these words ready too. Then tell me in the comments which of the 4 sentences you would forget first under pressure. And keep in mind that this is general education about how these rules work, not personalized legal advice for your situation, since the details shift from state to state. Before you go, there is one more sentence they use, and it sounds like they are doing you a favor. Sign this and we will not call the police. That one is worse than everything you just heard.